This is not a drill. Pay close attention to what happens next. What I am about to share will change how you view the dynamic with the narcissist who has impacted your life. Forget everything you thought you knew about their resilience or their ability to always land on their feet. The truth is, the narcissist is collapsing their health, their luck, and every facet of the world they so carefully constructed. This isn't a theory. It's a spiritual reality unfolding, a direct consequence of a life lived in opposition to truth and genuine connection. The Bible tells us that the integrity of the upright guides them, but the crookedness of the treacherous destroys them. Proverbs chapter 11 verse 3 clearly outlines the ultimate fate of those who choose deception and manipulation. The narcissist, whose entire existence is a carefully woven tapestry of lies and self-serving motives, has been consistently building their life on a faulty foundation. They have sown seeds of discord, exploitation, and spiritual emptiness. Now, the harvest of those seeds is upon them, and the unraveling begins, marking the irreversible start of their profound decline and collapse. Think about the sheer weight of maintaining a false self. The narcissist lives in a constant state of performance, meticulously crafting an image that hides their profound insecurities and inner void. This requires immense mental and emotional energy. Every interaction, every word, every gesture is calculated to extract supply, control others, and bolster their fragile ego. This ceaseless effort to uphold an illusion is unsustainable. Eventually, the cracks begin to show, and the strain of this perpetual charade starts to break them down from the inside out. This internal exhaustion is often the very first sign that their unraveling has begun. Their patterns of deceit and manipulation are the primary architects of their downfall. The narcissist believes they are cunning, always one step ahead, and capable of outsmarting anyone. They weave intricate webs of lies, gaslight with precision, and shift blame effortlessly. For a time, these tactics may appear successful, allowing them to evade consequences and maintain control. However, the Bible tells us that lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, but those who act faithfully are His delight. Proverbs chapter 12 verse 22 reveals that lies cannot endure forever. Eventually, the threads of their deceit become tangled, inconsistencies surface, and those they have manipulated begin to awaken to the truth. This exposure is not something you actively orchestrate. It is the natural consequence of truth relentlessly pursuing falsehood. This revelation of their true nature initiates the irreversible process of their public and private unraveling. Furthermore, their inherent inability to form genuine connections sets the stage for their collapse. The narcissist views people as objects, mere sources of supply to be used and discarded. They are incapable of true empathy, reciprocity, or unconditional love. While they may attract many superficial admirers, they build no real friendships, no loyal alliances, and no authentic support system. When their facade begins to crumble and their desperate scramble for new supply proves futile, they find themselves utterly isolated. This profound relational barrenness means that when crisis hits, there is no one to stand by them, no one to offer genuine help, and no one to cushion their fall. This self-imposed isolation becomes a critical component of their unraveling. The narcissist's unyielding pride and grandiosity also contribute significantly to the start of their collapse. They refuse to admit fault, to apologize genuinely, or to learn from their mistakes. Their inflated ego blinds them to their own flaws and to the inevitable consequences of their actions. They believe themselves to be above reproach and immune to the laws that govern others. This hubris prevents any course correction, any moment of introspection that could avert disaster. The Bible warns, "Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall." Proverbs chapter 16 verse 18 clearly states this principle. Their unbending pride ensures that once the unraveling begins, there is no stopping it, as they refuse to acknowledge the need for change or humility. This initial stage of unraveling is terrifying for the narcissist because it directly challenges their core delusion of omnipotence and immunity. They begin to feel a loss of control, a creeping sense of panic, and the first stings of profound shame. The subtle shifts in their environment, the skepticism in others' eyes, the diminishing effectiveness of their charm, the growing fatigue in their own performance, are all early indicators that the house they built on sand is beginning to shudder. For you, understanding that the unraveling begins is profoundly validating and liberating. It confirms that the intuitive sense you had about their phoniness and their impending downfall was accurate. It frees you from the burden of trying to expose them or convince others, knowing that truth has its own relentless power. It allows you to release any lingering guilt or responsibility for their current predicament, recognizing that their collapse is a consequence of their own choices, not anything you caused. This truth empowers you to maintain your peace and to focus entirely on your own healing and spiritual growth, knowing that God's justice is actively at work, bringing to light every hidden thing and ensuring that the narcissist's self-inflicted disaster is now truly beginning to consume them. As the narcissist's world begins its irreversible unraveling, the immense internal pressure they face manifests in a deeply painful and undeniable reality: health's bitter decline. The constant stress of maintaining a false facade, the escalating panic as their lies are exposed, and the overwhelming burden of shame all combine to take a severe toll on both their physical and mental well-being. This deterioration is not accidental. It is a direct consequence of a life lived in opposition to truth and genuine peace. The Bible tells us that a tranquil heart gives life to the flesh, but envy makes the bones rot. Proverbs chapter 14 verse 30 reveals the profound connection between inner state and physical health. The narcissist, consumed by envy, bitterness, and an agitated spirit, has no tranquil heart. Their inner turmoil is a constant, corrosive force, actively eroding their health from the inside out. This is a manifestation of divine justice, where the consequences of their unrighteous living permeate their very being. Think about the sheer energetic drain required to be a narcissist. They are perpetually on guard, constantly monitoring others for validation or perceived threats, always calculating their next move. This high alert state keeps their nervous system in a chronic state of fight or flight. Over time, this sustained physiological stress takes a heavy toll. Their bodies were not designed to operate under such intense, unremitting pressure. This can lead to a host of physical ailments that are often mysterious or chronic, as their bodies literally begin to break down under the weight of their own internal chaos. One of the most evident aspects of this decline is their deteriorating mental health. The panic that seized them in Section 2 now morphs into persistent, debilitating anxiety and even clinical depression. They may experience severe insomnia, restless nights plagued by racing thoughts, and waking hours filled with a pervasive sense of dread. Their minds, once sharp instruments of manipulation, become clouded with paranoia and confusion. They may struggle with memory, exhibit increased irritability, and have unpredictable mood swings. This mental anguish is a direct reflection of their inability to cope with the collapse of their external world and the surfacing of their repressed shame. Their internal inferno is literally consuming their mental peace. Furthermore, their physical health often begins to fail in noticeable ways. Chronic stress weakens the immune system, making them more susceptible to illness. They might suffer from persistent headaches, digestive issues, high blood pressure, or even more serious autoimmune conditions. Their bodies are mirroring the internal war raging within them. They may neglect their own self-care, as their focus remains entirely on their external struggles and their desperate attempts to regain control. This neglect, combined with the physiological toll of perpetual stress, accelerates their physical decline, leaving them feeling fatigued, unwell, and increasingly vulnerable. The narcissist's inherent inability to seek genuine help or acknowledge their vulnerabilities further exacerbates this health decline. Their pride prevents them from admitting they are struggling, seeking professional medical or psychological assistance, or making fundamental changes to their lifestyle. They will likely externalize their physical symptoms, blaming others for their stress or denying the severity of their condition. This resistance to self-reflection and healing ensures that their health continues its bitter decline, a self-fulfilling prophecy driven by their own unyielding arrogance. God says, "Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a desire fulfilled is a tree of life." Proverbs chapter 13 verse 12 speaks to the sickness of heart. And the narcissist's hope is always deferred because it rests on external validation rather than inner truth. This deterioration also impacts their appearance. The stress, lack of sleep, poor self-care, and internal turmoil can visibly age them, leaving them looking drawn, tired, and unkempt. The sparkle in their eyes, if it was ever genuine, dulls. The charisma they once wielded may fade, replaced by a strained, desperate look. While this might seem superficial for a narcissist who relies heavily on external image, this visible decline adds another layer of torment, as their outer presentation can no longer effectively mask their inner disintegration. This bitter decline in their health is a particularly agonizing form of consequence for the narcissist because it assaults their core belief in their own superiority and invincibility. They believed they were stronger, healthier, and more resilient than others. Now, their bodies and minds are betraying them, revealing their fragility and mortality. This loss of physical and mental vitality adds a crushing weight to the shame they are already experiencing, leaving them feeling powerless and trapped within their own suffering. For you, observing the narcissist's health's bitter decline is not a cause for celebration, but a profound confirmation of God's perfect justice. It validates that the stress and turmoil they projected onto you were always their own. It frees you from any illusion that they are somehow immune to consequences or that their toxic behaviors are sustainable. This understanding allows you to maintain your peace and distance, knowing that their suffering is a direct result of their own choices and their continued rejection of truth. Your focus remains on your own health and healing, secure in the knowledge that your peace and well-being are divinely protected, while their inner chaos physically manifests its destructive reality upon them. As the narcissist's health spirals into bitter decline, a parallel and equally devastating consequence takes hold: luck's sudden desertion. For years, it might have seemed as though they led a charmed existence, escaping accountability, finding new opportunities, and always landing on their feet, no matter the chaos they created. This perception of good fortune often served to further inflate their ego, making them believe they were invincible or specially favored. But now, that illusion is shattered. Their once perceived good luck is abandoning them, and a string of misfortunes is relentlessly pursuing them, reflecting the spiritual law of sowing and reaping. The Bible tells us that the Lord makes poor and makes rich. He brings low and he exalts. 1 Samuel chapter 2 verse 7 reminds us that true fortune and misfortune are ultimately in God's hands, not a matter of random chance. The narcissist, by living a life of deceit and exploitation, has positioned themselves outside of divine favor. Their past luck was often a consequence of manipulation, others' ignorance, or simply deferred consequences. Now, those deferrals are over, and the consequences are arriving, manifesting as a profound shift in their circumstances that appears to be a sudden, relentless run of bad luck. Think about how their perceived good fortune was often built. It wasn't on honest effort or genuine blessing, but on exploiting vulnerabilities, charming others into doing their bidding, or simply being skilled at avoiding the repercussions of their actions. They might have gotten away with deceit in business, escaped legal troubles, or found new relationships quickly after ruining old ones. This created an illusion of being fortunate or even blessed in their unrighteousness. But as their true nature is exposed and their influence wanes, these avenues of unearned success begin to close. One of the most immediate signs of luck's sudden desertion is in their professional and financial life. The opportunities that once seemed to fall into their lap now become scarce. Business deals may fall through unexpectedly, investments turn sour, or their professional reputation, once carefully guarded, begins to suffer. Clients or employers who once overlooked their character flaws may now see the chaos they bring and choose to distance themselves. This financial or career downturn is a direct blow to their sense of superiority and control, as they believed their cunning would always ensure prosperity. Proverbs chapter 13 verse 11 warns, "Wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it." The narcissist's hastily gained success is now indeed dwindling. Furthermore, their luck in escaping consequences is vanishing. Where they once seemed immune to the repercussions of their actions, legal issues may arise, past misdeeds resurface, or social consequences like ostracization become undeniable. People they have wronged may find their voice and speak out. The support systems they once relied on to bail them out now refuse to engage. This sudden inability to escape accountability is a shocking and terrifying experience for someone who has built a life around evasion. Every corner they turn seems to lead to another dead end, another unavoidable consequence, chipping away at their illusion of immunity. Their past good fortune in finding new sources of supply is also abandoning them. In the past, when one relationship or friendship was exhausted, they could easily charm a new, unsuspecting person into their orbit. But as their reputation precedes them, as their desperation becomes more visible, and as people become more discerning, finding new, viable sources of supply becomes increasingly difficult. The luck of easily attracting new victims is drying up, leaving them starved for the attention and validation they desperately crave. This lack of available supply amplifies their internal torment and accelerates their unraveling. This desertion of luck is particularly agonizing for the narcissist because it assaults their core belief in their own specialness and entitlement. They truly believed they were exempt from the rules that apply to others, that fate somehow favored them. Now, as misfortune after misfortune befalls them, they are forced to confront the terrifying reality that they are not special, not favored, and certainly not invincible. This realization deepens their shame, fueling their rage and paranoia as they search frantically for someone else to blame for their misfortunes. They cannot accept that their own actions are the cause. The Bible tells us that God is righteous in all his ways. Psalm chapter 145, verse 17 proclaims, "The Lord is righteous in all his ways and kind in all his works." The shift in the narcissist's luck is not random. It is part of a larger divine order, a manifestation of the spiritual truth that unrighteousness ultimately leads to ruin. Their perceived good fortune was always temporary, a facade, and now that facade is crumbling under the weight of divine justice. For you, witnessing luck's sudden desertion in the narcissist's life is a powerful validation and a clear sign of God's active hand. It confirms that you are not imagining their downfall, and that their seemingly endless streak of good fortune was an illusion. It frees you from any lingering belief that they somehow got away with their harmful behavior. This understanding reinforces your own path of integrity and trust in divine justice, allowing you to maintain your peace and focus on your own blessings, knowing that your path is guided by truth and light. While their path descends into misfortune, they cannot escape. As the narcissist grapples with health's bitter decline and luck's sudden desertion, they are increasingly suffocated by a crushing new reality, the weight of consequences. The natural repercussions of their actions, which they meticulously sought to evade for so long, are now inescapable, pressing down upon them from every direction. This isn't an external punishment from you. It is the inherent outcome of a life lived in defiance of moral and spiritual laws, a harvest of the seeds they themselves have sown. The Bible tells us unequivocally that do not be deceived. God is not mocked, for whatever one sows, that will he also reap. Galatians chapter 6 verse 7 lays down this universal principle. The narcissist, in their arrogance and delusion, believed they could sow discord, manipulation, and deceit without ever facing the harvest. They convinced themselves they could perpetually cheat the system, always finding a way out. But divine truth reveals that consequences are as inescapable as gravity itself, and now the full weight of their past actions is bearing down on them. Think about the sheer volume of negative seeds the narcissist has sown throughout their life. Every lie told, every promise broken, every trust betrayed, every person exploited, every act of cruelty inflicted. Each of these was a seed planted in the soil of their own destiny. For a time, they may have enjoyed a superficial prosperity, but like a weed with shallow roots, it could never last. Now, those weeds are growing into a thicket that chokes out any semblance of peace or genuine well-being, and they are finding themselves tangled in the thorns of their own making. One of the most evident ways the weight of consequences manifests is in damaged relationships. The narcissist has left a trail of broken hearts and disillusioned individuals. People who once loved them, admired them, or served as their supply have now awakened to the truth of their character. This means that when true crisis hits, when they are sick or unlucky, there is no one left to genuinely support them. The bridges they burned are now gone, and the people they alienated are no longer willing to rush to their aid. This relational isolation is a direct, agonizing consequence of their transactional view of others. Proverbs chapter 18 verse 24 warns, "A man of many companions may come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother." The narcissist's companions always leave them in ruin. Furthermore, the weight of consequences is felt in their reputation and credibility. For a narcissist, whose very identity is built on how they are perceived, the loss of their good name is devastating. As truth comes to light and stories from different victims corroborate, their carefully crafted public image shatters. They are no longer seen as the charismatic, competent, or compassionate person they pretended to be. Instead, they are viewed with suspicion, distrust, and disdain. This widespread loss of credibility makes it nearly impossible for them to regain influence, secure opportunities, or manipulate new people effectively. Their word becomes meaningless, a direct consequence of their habitual dishonesty. God says, "The Lord detests lying lips, but delights in people who are trustworthy." Proverbs chapter 12 verse 22 again underscores the ultimate outcome for the vain. Deceitful. Financial and legal repercussions often form a significant part of this inescapable weight. Their reckless decisions, their exploitation of resources, or their outright dishonest dealings can lead to mounting debts, failed businesses, or legal challenges they can no longer evade. The very systems they thought they could outsmart, tax laws, contractual agreements, or ethical guidelines, are now catching up to them. This can strip them of material wealth, which they often equate with their worth and power, leaving them feeling profoundly diminished and trapped. They can no longer simply run from the financial chaos they created. The psychological and emotional distress they experience, as detailed in previous sections, is also a profound consequence. Their anxiety, rage, paranoia, and the crushing shame they feel are not random afflictions, but the direct internal harvest of their own toxic choices. They are haunted by their own unresolved issues, their unaddressed emptiness, and the pervasive fear of exposure. This internal agony is inescapable because it resides within them, a constant reminder of the destructive path they chose. For the narcissist, this overwhelming weight of consequences is a terrifying awakening. They believed they were immune, special, and always able to avoid the bill for their behavior. Now, they are forced to confront the undeniable reality that their actions have created a cage from which there is no escape. This realization fuels their desperation and rage as they furiously lash out, still trying to blame others for the very consequences of their own choices. But the universe, and indeed God's justice, is simply returning to them what they have put out. For you, understanding the weight of consequences the narcissist now faces brings immense validation and closure. It confirms that you are not responsible for their suffering. They are reaping what they sowed. It frees you from any lingering guilt or the urge to save them from their self-made predicament. This knowledge allows you to fully disengage, knowing that divine justice is unfolding perfectly, ensuring that their actions are met with their rightful repercussions. Your peace is found in aligning with God's truth, knowing that while they are crushed by the weight of their choices, you are walking freely, unburdened by the chaos they tried to impose. As the overwhelming weight of consequences crushes the narcissist and their health and luck continue their bitter decline, the external pressures relentlessly fuel an escalating internal nightmare, their internal inferno. The psychological and Emotional torment they have managed to suppress, deny, or project onto others for so long now rages within them. An unquenchable fire of unaddressed shame, terror, and profound self-loathing. This escalating agony is the direct agonizing result of their schemes failing and their inability to escape the truth they so vehemently denied. The Bible tells us that there is no peace, says the Lord, for the wicked. Isaiah chapter 48 verse 22 clearly states this immutable spiritual truth. The narcissist, by consistently choosing a path of wickedness, deceit, and self-worship, has actively alienated themselves from true peace. Therefore, they are utterly devoid of it. When their external world, which previously served as a distraction from their inner emptiness, collapses, they are left with nothing but the magnified agony of their own making. This internal inferno is a consequence they cannot escape, for it resides within the very core of their being. Think about the intense psychological burden of narcissistic injury at this amplified stage. A narcissistic injury occurs when their inflated sense of self is severely challenged, exposed, or diminished. For an individual who believes they are superior, infallible, and above reproach, the undeniable failure of their schemes, the public exposure of their lies, the loss of their reputation, and the withdrawal of supply inflict wounds so deep they cause immense psychological pain. This injury is not merely a slight. It is an assault on their entire fabricated identity. Their mind races furiously, desperately trying to reconcile their grandiose self-image with the crushing, undeniable reality of their failures. They are losing the internal battle against their own demons, and the inferno within them rages hotter. This amplification of internal torment manifests as an intensification of their rage and bitterness. When their control slips away completely and their manipulations consistently fail, the narcissist becomes consumed by an uncontrollable fury. This rage is not a healthy emotion that can be processed. It is a desperate, destructive force born of frustration, helplessness, and the unbearable shame they are trying to evade. They lash out indiscriminately, consumed by a scorching bitterness towards anyone they perceive as responsible for their downfall, often including you, even though it is their own actions that are the cause. This internal fire of anger burns brighter and more fiercely as they find no external means to extinguish it with successful manipulation or new supply. Proverbs chapter 29 verse 22 warns, "An angry man stirs up strife, and a hot-tempered man multiplies transgression." Their internal rage now multiplies their own torment, leaving them in a perpetual state of inner conflict. Their anxiety and paranoia also reach an unbearable crescendo. Having always been the architect of deceit and manipulation, they now harbor an intense, debilitating fear that everyone is deceiving them, plotting against them, or seeking to expose them further. They become obsessed with who knows what, who is talking about them, and who might bring about their complete ruin. This relentless paranoia becomes an unbearable torment, robbing them of sleep, peace, and any semblance of mental calm. Their minds are constantly racing, caught in a terrifying loop of suspicion and dread, creating worst-case scenarios that further consume them. Their internal world has become a chaotic, terrifying storm of fear and distrust. God says, "The Lord is a stronghold for the oppressed, a stronghold in times of trouble." Psalm chapter 9 verse 9 offers refuge, but the narcissist, by their nature, refuses to seek it, preferring their own tormented path. The internal torment is further amplified by their profound, unmanageable shame and humiliation. The narcissist's deepest fear is being seen as flawed, inadequate, or insignificant. As their facade crumbles and their true, broken nature is exposed to the light of day, they are confronted with the very humiliation they have spent a lifetime desperately avoiding. This shame is so overwhelming, so utterly unbearable, that they cannot process it in a healthy, constructive way. They will either deny it with furious intensity, project it outwards onto others with venom, or spiral into a deep, paralyzing despair. The raw, searing pain of being truly seen for who they are, stripped of their carefully constructed illusion, is an agonizing, constant torment that they cannot escape. This escalating agony persists precisely because they possess no internal resources to cope. They lack humility, genuine self-awareness, and the fundamental capacity for true introspection or repentance. Their entire psychological framework is geared towards external validation, deflection, and projection. When those external mechanisms of defense fail, there is absolutely nothing left within them to cushion the blow of reality. They cannot turn to God in genuine humility because their pride forbids such an act. They cannot turn to others for true comfort because they have systematically alienated everyone who might have offered genuine, unconditional support. They are left utterly alone with their torment, trapped within their own self-made internal inferno, consuming themselves from the inside out. The internal torment of the narcissist is a chilling testament to the spiritual law of sowing and reaping. In its most agonizing form, they have sown seeds of discord, lies, and exploitation, and now they are reaping a harvest of profound psychological anguish. This is not a casual discomfort. It is a relentless, consuming pain that reflects the terrifying depth of their moral and spiritual bankruptcy. Their minds and emotions have become a perpetual battleground, where their false self wages a losing war against the encroaching truth. And the undeniable casualties of that war are their own peace, sanity, and internal well-being. For you, understanding this amplified internal torment in the narcissist is not an invitation to feel sympathy or to re-engage. Instead, it offers a crucial validation of your experience and a powerful reinforcement of your healing path. It unequivocally confirms that the subtle manipulations, the covert cruelties, and the emotional chaos you endured were indeed symptoms of a deeply disturbed and tormented individual. It frees you from the burden of feeling responsible for their current state. Their torment is a direct and inevitable consequence of their own choices, and your responsibility is to protect your own peace and continue on your path of healing, growth, and spiritual alignment. Their escalating agony, their internal inferno, is a terrifying sign for them, but a validating confirmation for you that divine justice is indeed active, and you are being kept safe from their unraveling. As the narcissist's internal inferno rages and the weight of consequences presses down, a chilling reality solidifies around them, isolation's cold embrace. For all their desperate efforts to be admired, to be the center of attention, and to control those around them, their fundamental inability to form genuine connections has ultimately left them utterly alone in their deepening suffering. This solitude is not a peaceful retreat. It is a terrifying and barren landscape of their own making, a direct result of their manipulative and self-serving nature. The Bible tells us that love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. 1 Corinthians chapter 13 verse 4 through 7 beautifully describes the nature of true love. The narcissist, however, operates from a place devoid of such love. Their relationships are transactional, built on exploitation rather than empathy. And this foundation of self-interest inevitably leads to profound and agonizing loneliness. Think about the true nature of their past connections. They cultivated admirers, not true friends. They sought subordinates, not equals. They collected sources of supply, not genuine partners. Every interaction was designed to extract something for themselves: attention, validation, resources, control, rather than to build a reciprocal, heartfelt bond. They are fundamentally incapable of genuine empathy, of truly understanding or sharing in another person's feelings. This core deficit means that even when superficially surrounded by people, they have always been spiritually and emotionally isolated, dwelling in a self-imposed void. As their mental and emotional unraveling accelerates and their manipulative tactics become more obvious and less effective, those who were once drawn to them begin to pull away. The new sources of supply, if they possess even a shred of discernment, will quickly realize they are being used and will seek to protect themselves. The flying monkeys who once enabled their behavior may grow weary of the narcissist's increasing eroticism, their uncontrollable rage, and the mounting evidence against them. And you, and others like you, who have chosen to break free and establish divine boundaries, are no longer available to fuel their ego or absorb their toxicity. This mass exodus of supply and support leaves the narcissist stranded with nowhere to turn. This growing isolation is particularly tormenting for the narcissist because their entire sense of self-worth is external. They possess no internal compass, no true identity or value that exists independently of external validation and applause. When the admiration, attention, and control from others disappear, they are left with a terrifying, hollow emptiness. They cannot bear to be alone with their own thoughts because their thoughts are often filled with shame, fear, and self-loathing, which they desperately try to suppress through external means. This forced solitude, therefore, is not a quiet reflection but a living nightmare, relentlessly amplifying their internal torment and mental breakdown to an unbearable degree. Their own deeply ingrained, destructive behaviors further perpetuate this chilling cycle of isolation. Their escalating rage drives people away. Their pervasive paranoia and baseless accusations alienate even those who might have once sympathized or tried to help them. Their consistent blame shifting and furious refusal to take any responsibility for their actions make genuine reconciliation utterly impossible. Who would willingly choose to remain connected to someone who consistently blames, belittles, exploits, and manipulates? The Bible tells us that a troublemaker separates close friends. Proverbs chapter 16 verse 28 warns against such divisive behavior, and the narcissist's life is a stark, tragic illustration of this truth. They actively, though perhaps unconsciously, push away everyone who could offer true, unconditional connection. This chilling embrace of isolation also has a profound spiritual dimension. Because they have consistently rejected truth, chosen self-worship over God, and lived in defiance of love and humility, Their spiritual well becomes utterly dry and barren. They cannot truly connect with God in an authentic way, as their heart remains hardened and unrepentant. While they may still use religious language superficially or engage in outward displays, the true spiritual bond, which brings genuine peace and connection, is severed. This profound spiritual barrenness leaves them profoundly alone, cut off from the very source of life, truth, and comfort, amplifying their internal chaos and making their solitude all the more unbearable. God says, "But your iniquities have made a separation between you and your God, and your sins have hidden his face from you, so that he does not hear." Isaiah chapter 59 verse 2 describes this agonizing spiritual estrangement. For the narcissist, this deepening isolation is one of the most horrifying signs of their impending collapse. They relied on having people around them, even if those people were merely pawns in their elaborate game of manipulation. Now, as those pawns scatter and the game ultimately ends, they are left facing the chilling silence and emptiness of their own self-inflicted solitude. There is no one left to applaud them, no one to blame in the immediate vicinity, and no one to provide the vital supply they need to prop up their shattered ego. For you, understanding the narcissist's increasing isolation's cold embrace offers immense validation and peace. It confirms that their behavior leads to an inevitable, lonely end, and that you are not responsible for alleviating their self-imposed suffering. It reinforces the wisdom of your decision to break free, knowing that you have chosen true connection, peace, and divine truth over their barren, isolating path. This knowledge empowers you to maintain your boundaries and cherish the genuine relationships that are now blooming in your own life, secure in the knowledge that God's love provides true fellowship and enduring connection, while the narcissist remains trapped in the agonizing grip of isolation's cold embrace. As isolation's cold embrace tightens around the narcissist, intensifying their internal inferno, a profound and utterly devastating reality unfolds before them, the shattered facade. Their entire life has been a meticulously crafted performance, a grand charade built upon a false image and a carefully constructed world designed to prop up their fragile ego. But now, with truth's relentless pursuit and their escape routes gone, this elaborate illusion is not just cracking. It is crumbling into irreparable pieces, leaving them exposed, humiliated, and utterly lost. The Bible tells us that anything built on a shaky foundation cannot stand. Jesus warns in Matthew chapter 7 verse 26 and 27, "And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, and it fell, and great was its fall." The narcissist's false image and their constructed world were built on the shifting sands of lies, manipulation, and fleeting external validation, rather than the solid rock of truth, integrity, and genuine character. Now, the storms of consequence, amplified by their own destructive choices, are beating upon that house, and its fall is indeed great and undeniable. Think about the very essence of their false image. The narcissist presented a highly inflated, often idealized version of themselves, a charismatic leader, a brilliant intellectual, a deeply spiritual figure, a benevolent benefactor, or an indispensable friend. This image was their ultimate shield, meticulously designed to protect them from confronting their true, deeply insecure, and shame-filled self. Every compliment they garnered, every accolade they received, every instance of control they exerted, served as vital fuel to reinforce and sustain this fabricated persona. But this identity was never real. It was a performative act, and like any elaborate act, it requires a willing audience and a stable stage for its continuation. As their multiple sources of supply withdraw and the chilling grip of isolation deepens, their audience rapidly shrinks. The stage lights which once illuminated their grand performance begin to dim and flicker. The constant affirmation they so desperately needed to sustain their false self disappears entirely. This severe deprivation forces them to confront the terrifying reality that their identity was always contingent upon external validation. Without it, they literally do not know who they are. This profound identity crisis is a core and agonizing aspect of their crumbling illusion, leading to immense psychological distress and an intensified internal inferno. They are witnessing their own self vanish before their very eyes. Their carefully constructed world also begins to crumble into ruins. This meticulously built world included not just their public reputation, but the intricate network of people they controlled, the fabricated narratives they tirelessly spun, and the power structures they painstakingly established to maintain their dominance. They curated a reality where they were always right, always the victim, always the hero, or always the most intelligent person in the room. This entire world was designed exclusively to protect them from accountability and to ensure their insatiable needs were constantly met. However, as truth relentlessly pursues them, this meticulously constructed world cannot possibly hold. Their lies are systematically exposed. Their manipulations are recognized for what they are, and their desperate attempts to control others fail miserably. The people they once effortlessly controlled begin to awaken, resist their influence, and demand accountability. The institutions or groups they infiltrated may start to seriously question their authority and legitimacy. This external collapse mirrors their intensifying internal disarray as the very structures that supported their grand illusion fall apart, piece by agonizing piece. It's akin to a puppet master whose intricate strings are suddenly and irrevocably severed, leaving the puppets to fall lifelessly and the master without purpose or power. The comprehensive collapse of their illusion is intensely painful for the narcissist because it directly triggers their deepest, most primal fears, the fear of exposure, profound humiliation, and utter insignificance. They have spent an entire lifetime meticulously avoiding these agonizing feelings, constructing an elaborate facade to keep them buried deep within their psyche. Now, the illusion's shattering rips away that fragile protection, leaving them raw, utterly vulnerable, and defenseless against the very emotions they dread most. This leads to an extreme and debilitating narcissistic injury, manifesting as intense, uncontrollable rage, profound despair, frantic and often delusional attempts to rebuild their shattered image, and increasingly desperate and ineffective behaviors. They are truly drowning in their own self-made misery. Furthermore, the crumbling illusion means the narcissist can no longer simply escape accountability through their typical, once reliable means. When their constructed world was largely intact, they could effortlessly move on to new situations, find new unsuspecting people to exploit, or simply create new compelling narratives to escape their past. But now, as the illusion thoroughly crumbles, their past relentlessly follows them. Their ruined reputation precedes them wherever they go. Their destructive patterns are easily recognized by discerning individuals and their ability to charm and attract new, high-quality supply is severely diminished, if not entirely eradicated. This means they are truly trapped within the wreckage of their own making, unable to simply escape to a new, untouched stage or begin anew without the shadows of their past haunting them. This internal and external collapse, this shattering of their carefully constructed facade, is utterly horrifying for the narcissist because it signifies the undeniable and absolute failure of their life's singular work, the relentless, all-consuming work of perpetuating a monumental lie. They genuinely believed their illusion was impenetrable, unassailable, and eternal. But divine truth has pierced it with surgical precision, relentlessly revealing the profound emptiness, the brokenness, and the utter falsehood beneath. For you, witnessing the shattered facade is an incredibly liberating and profoundly validating experience. It confirms beyond a shadow of a doubt that the intuitive sense you had about their phoniness, their superficiality, and their fundamental untrustworthiness was absolutely accurate. It frees you completely from the heavy burden of trying to expose them or convince others of their true nature, knowing with absolute certainty that the truth is already doing its powerful, relentless work. It allows you to fully step into your own authentic self, unburdened by the need to conform to their false reality or to participate in their ongoing charade. Your profound peace and flourishing are built on the solid, unshakable rock of truth, while their world, built on the shifting sands of deceit, irrevocably falls apart. This complete collapse is a terrifying and agonizing sign for them, but a triumphant and liberating revelation for you, signifying the unequivocal end of their deceptive power and the dawn of your true freedom. As the narcissist's meticulously constructed facade shatters around them, intensifying their internal inferno and accelerating health's bitter decline, they are confronted with a horrifying, inescapable reality. No escape, no relief. For their entire lives, they have relied on a sophisticated arsenal of evasive tactics, carefully designed to avoid consequences, shift blame, and escape accountability. But now, as their world implodes under the weight of their own choices, these once reliable strategies are failing them completely, leaving them exposed, trapped, and utterly without respite from the disaster they themselves created. The Bible tells us that darkness cannot perpetually hide from light, and that deceit will ultimately be exposed. Luke chapter 12 verse 2 warns, "Nothing is covered that will not be revealed, or hidden that will not be known." The narcissist's life has been a masterful exercise in concealment and evasion, a relentless pursuit of control over perception. They genuinely believed they could perpetually manipulate circumstances, endlessly outrun their past, and simply discard situations or people that became inconvenient or threatened their false image. But divine truth is like an unyielding, penetrating light shining into every hidden corner, making their usual, once effective escape attempts utterly ineffective and providing them no relief. Consider their primary and most frequently deployed evasive tactic: blame shifting. The narcissist, by their very nature, is never at fault. Every single problem, every perceived failure, every undesirable consequence is meticulously attributed to someone else's doing, almost always yours or another convenient scapegoat. They are absolute masters of projection, skillfully deflecting responsibility onto others, refusing to internalize any sense of culpability. For a significant period, this tactic worked with alarming efficiency, leaving you confused, burdened with unwarranted guilt, and constantly trying to appease their insatiable demands. But now, as the comprehensive disaster they created becomes undeniably apparent and undeniably linked to their actions, the blame shifting rings hollow and transparent. People, now discerning, are beginning to see through their flimsy deflections. Evidence mounts relentlessly, pointing directly back to their actions and choices. Their desperate, frantic attempts to point fingers now only serve to highlight their own profound culpability and undeniable lack of integrity, further isolating them and providing absolutely no relief from the mounting pressure. God says, "He who conceals his transgressions will not prosper, but he who confesses and forsakes them will obtain mercy." Proverbs chapter 28 verse 13 clearly lays out the path they persistently refuse to take, thus ensuring their ultimate lack of prosperity and their inescapable suffering in this regard. Another deeply favored escape route has always been denial. The narcissist simply refuses to acknowledge any aspect of reality if it in any way conflicts with their grandiose, inflated self-image. They will vehemently deny specific events, crucial conversations, and even clear, irrefutable evidence, insisting on their own distorted, self-serving version of truth. For a long time, this tactic could leave you questioning your own sanity, doubting your memories, and feeling utterly disoriented. But as the crushing consequences of their actions become undeniably real significant losses, public exposure, failed schemes, and irreversible damage, their denial becomes increasingly unsustainable and painfully obvious to all. Reality forces its way in with brutal clarity, shattering their cherished delusions. They can no longer simply wish away the disaster. It is now staring them squarely in the face, and their continued denial now only exacerbates their intense internal panic, offering them no relief whatsoever. Their reliance on finding new supply has also utterly failed as a viable escape route. In the past, when one source of narcissistic supply became problematic, exhausted, or demanded accountability, they would effortlessly move on to a fresh victim, a new admiring acquaintance, or a different group to exploit. This allowed them to temporarily escape the mounting consequences of their past behavior and to seamlessly re-establish their false image elsewhere. But now, due to their escalating chaos, increasing public exposure, and the tightening grip of profound isolation, finding new, high-quality, and sustainable supply becomes exceedingly difficult, if not impossible. Potential sources of supply are more discerning, or their increasingly notorious reputation precedes them, causing people to pull away. The well of fresh supply is rapidly drying up, and they are finding fewer and fewer avenues for even temporary escape through new, superficial relationships. This lack of available supply offers no relief, only intensified desperation. The Bible reminds us that those who sow discord will ultimately be known by their fruits. Proverbs chapter 6 verse 14 warns of such destructive characters and their inevitable fruit. Gaslighting was another incredibly powerful evasive tactic, meticulously designed to make you doubt your own perceptions, memories, and fundamental intuition, thus keeping you perpetually controllable and compliant. By twisting reality, vehemently denying facts, and making you feel utterly crazy, they masterfully created a mental prison from which you struggled desperately to escape. However, as you have gained invaluable discernment and anchored yourself firmly in divine truth, their gaslighting has irrevocably lost its potency. You now see it for the blatant manipulation it is, and you adamantly refuse to internalize their distorted, self-serving narratives. This means their attempt to confuse and control you as an escape route has definitively failed, offering them no relief from your unwavering clarity. God says that His Spirit will guide us into all truth. John chapter 16 verse 13 promises, "When the Spirit of truth comes, He will guide you into all the truth." Your unwavering reliance on divine truth prevents them from using this tactic effectively against you. Even their once effortless ability to charm and deceive others into protecting them or believing their elaborate lies is rapidly diminishing. While they might still retain a few loyal flying monkeys, the gaping cracks in their facade are now far too large and obvious for even their most devoted enablers to ignore indefinitely. Their increasingly erratic behavior, their escalating desperation, and the undeniable evidence of their destructive path actively erode their charismatic appeal. Their once effortless ability to persuade and manipulate is failing them miserably, leaving them without the human shield they once so effectively relied on. This lack of external protection offers them no relief from the exposure. This complete and utter failure of their once reliable escape routes is deeply terrifying for the narcissist. They possess absolutely no internal resources to genuinely cope with crisis, no genuine self-worth to fall back on, and no true humility to seek help or to initiate genuine change. Their entire life strategy has been built exclusively on evasion, and now that evasion is impossible, they are cornered, forced to directly confront the monumental disaster they orchestrated, and this agonizing feeling of being completely trapped fuels their intense, unceasing panic and overwhelming stress, offering them no escape, no relief. For you, understanding that the narcissist truly has no escape, no relief is incredibly liberating and profoundly reassuring. It unequivocally confirms that you are not responsible for their dire fate and that their inevitable consequences are unfolding precisely as a direct result of their own unrighteous choices. It powerfully reinforces your wise decision to disengage, knowing with absolute certainty that their manipulative tactics will no longer work on you. This empowering knowledge frees you completely from any lingering fears about their potential return or their continued ability to harm you. They are caught inextricably in their own snare, and your profound peace is found in knowing that God's perfect justice ensures there truly are no escape routes from the self-inflicted disaster of their own making. As the narcissist finds themselves in a terrifying state of no escape, no relief, utterly trapped in the disaster they created, they are inexorably forced into the most agonizing confrontation of all, the mirror of truth. For their entire lives, they have meticulously constructed a reality based on self-serving delusions, actively denying inconvenient facts, suppressing uncomfortable emotions, and rejecting any perspective that challenged their grandiose self-image. But now, as their world crumbles and their defenses fail, truth stands before them, reflecting their true nature and the devastating consequences of their choices, leaving them no room to hide. The Bible tells us that the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John chapter 1 verse 5 powerfully illustrates the nature of truth. The narcissist has persistently chosen darkness, a life shrouded in denial and falsehood. However, divine truth is an unyielding light that eventually penetrates even the deepest shadows. It is not something that can be perpetually hidden or indefinitely suppressed. Now, that light is shining directly on them, forcing them to see what they have so vehemently refused to acknowledge, and the reflection in this mirror of truth is utterly horrifying to them. Think about the sheer volume of reality the narcissist has denied. They denied their own flaws, projecting them onto others. They denied the pain they inflicted, dismissing it as victimhood or sensitivity in others. They denied their responsibility for any negative outcome, always finding an external scapegoat. They denied their profound inner emptiness and insecurity, replacing it with an inflated, false sense of superiority. This pervasive denial was their primary shield against confronting their true, broken self. But the mirror of truth, in this stage of their collapse, leaves them nowhere to run from these undeniable realities. One of the most agonizing reflections in this mirror is the undeniable evidence of their own failures. The narcissist has always seen themselves as ultimately successful, invincible, and effortlessly superior. But now their career may be in ruins, their finances in disarray, and their once vast network of admirers may have dwindled to almost nothing. These tangible failures are undeniable facts that directly contradict their grandiose self-perception. They can no longer spin a narrative that absolves them, because the evidence of their own missteps and destructive choices is overwhelming and public. This direct confrontation with their failures is profoundly humiliating and deeply painful for their ego, forcing them to glimpse a reality they cannot escape. God says, "For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted." Luke chapter 18 verse 14 speaks of the inevitable humbling of the arrogant. Furthermore, the mirror of truth reflects the impact of their cruelty on others. While they have historically dismissed the pain they caused, blamed their victims, and minimized their destructive actions, they are now confronted with the tangible wreckage they have left behind. They may hear stories of those they harmed, witness the emotional devastation of former partners, or see the disillusionment in the eyes of people they once manipulated. While they may still try to deny or intellectualize it, the sheer volume of negative feedback and undeniable evidence of the suffering they caused begins to press in on them. This confronts them with the truth that their actions have real, devastating consequences for others, something they vehemently denied for so long. The Bible tells us that he who sows injustice will reap calamity. Proverbs chapter 22 verse 8 clearly warns of the harvest of those who cause harm. The most terrifying reflection in the mirror of truth for the narcissist is the reality of their own true character. Stripped of their facade and their ability to charm, manipulate, and evade, they are left with the raw, unvarnished truth of who they are beneath the layers of pretense. They are forced to confront their profound lack of empathy, their insatiable need for control, their deep insecurity, and the spiritual barrenness of their own soul. This internal confrontation with their unlovable, flawed self is the ultimate nightmare they have spent a lifetime desperately avoiding. This is why their internal torment is so amplified. They are seeing the monster they tried so hard to hide, and there is no escape from it. This forced confrontation with truth creates an unbearable cognitive dissonance within them. Their self-serving delusions are collapsing, and their mind struggles furiously to reconcile the grandiosity they cling to with the undeniable evidence of their reality. This mental struggle is agonizing, driving them deeper into panic, rage, and a desperate search for someone, anyone, to blame for forcing them to look into this mirror. But the mirror of truth, once unveiled, cannot be covered again. This period of forced confrontation is unique because, unlike previous times when they could simply move on or create a new illusion, their current state of utter collapse leaves them no such options. They are cornered, isolated, and their usual escape routes are utterly defunct. They are left with nowhere to run from the truth that now shines relentlessly upon them, exposing every lie, every manipulation, and every hidden aspect of their true character. For you, understanding that the narcissist is now staring into the mirror of truth is profoundly validating and liberating. It confirms that your perceptions were not distorted, that you were not crazy, and that your intuitive sense of their true nature was always accurate. It frees you from the burden of trying to make them see the truth or trying to get them to acknowledge the pain they caused. Truth, by its very nature, reveals itself. You can rest in the knowledge that justice is unfolding and that the narcissist is facing the ultimate consequence of their denial, a forced, agonizing confrontation with their own unvarnished reality. Your peace is found in walking in the light of truth. While they are tormented by the reflection in the mirror, they can no longer escape. As the narcissist is inexorably forced to stare into the agonizing mirror of truth, with no escape or relief from the collapsing reality, their response is a predictable yet terrifying escalation, desperate, futile scramble. Witnessing their once reliable tactics fail, their carefully constructed world crumble, and their true nature exposed, they engage in increasingly frantic, often erratic, and ultimately ineffective attempts to regain the control they've lost or to somehow desperately avoid the mounting, undeniable consequences of their actions. This desperate scramble is the clearest sign of their profound distress, their utter inability to cope with reality, and their complete lack of genuine internal resources. The Bible tells us that the wicked flee when no one pursues, but the righteous are bold as a lion. Proverbs chapter 28 verse 1 illustrates the stark contrast. The narcissist, consumed by guilt, shame, and fear of exposure, is now in a state of perpetual flight, even when no one is actively chasing them. Their scramble is born of sheer panic, not strategic thought, and without a foundation of truth or genuine character. Their frenetic efforts are inherently futile, only serving to hasten their inevitable downfall. Think about the sheer variety of desperate measures they might undertake in this chaotic scramble. One incredibly common and intensified frantic attempt is heightened hoovering. Having lost you, a primary and valuable source of supply, they may now try every single trick in their extensive playbook to desperately draw you back into their orbit. This could involve a barrage of false apologies that lack any genuine remorse, grand promises of fundamental change they have absolutely no intention of keeping, feigned illnesses or manufactured crises designed solely to elicit your sympathy, or even manipulative attempts to recreate shared nostalgic moments from the past. These are not sincere attempts at reconciliation or connection. They are nothing more than desperate, panicked bids to re-establish control and regain access to your attention and emotional energy, a final gasping breath for the oxygen of your supply. Their acute panic now makes these hoovering attempts more frequent, more intense, and often, ironically, more clumsy and transparent than their earlier, more subtle manipulations. Another significant part of their desperate scramble involves escalated smear campaigns and relentless efforts to destroy your reputation. When they realize with terrifying clarity that they cannot control you directly, nor can they draw you back into their chaos, they will immediately attempt to control the narrative surrounding you and manipulate how others perceive you. They will tirelessly spread vicious lies, expertly twist facts, and desperately try to turn mutual acquaintances, friends, or even family members against you. This is a frantic, venomous effort to restore their own rapidly crumbling, damaged image by brutally destroying yours, and to desperately gain new, albeit often fleeting, supply from those who might still believe their fabricated narratives. However, because divine truth is now relentlessly pursuing them, and impenetrable divine boundaries are firmly in place, these intensified smear campaigns often backfire spectacularly, further exposing their vindictive and deceitful nature, and accelerating their already profound isolation. God says, "A false witness will not go unpunished, and he who breathes out lies will perish." Proverbs chapter 19 verse 9 powerfully assures that their desperate lies will ultimately fail them and contribute to their ruin. Their scramble might also involve increasingly frantic attempts to control narratives in every other area of their rapidly collapsing life. If their career is in dire jeopardy, they will desperately try to manipulate facts, brazenly blame innocent colleagues, or attempt to charm superiors with an almost manic intensity. If their financial situation is imploding, they might engage in wildly reckless spending or try to exploit others for money with even greater urgency. These actions are not rational, well-thought-out responses. They are desperate, impulsive bids to prevent further devastating loss and maintain their crumbling illusion of competence, power, and success. Unfortunately for them, these frantic efforts often lead to even deeper, more entrenched problems, only accelerating their downfall. Their inherent inability to take any personal responsibility means they simply repeat their destructive patterns in a heightened, panicked state. You may also observe them targeting new, often far less discerning, sources of supply with intense speed, overwhelming charm, and overt grandiosity. In their acute desperation, they may now latch onto anyone who offers even the slightest hint of admiration, attention, or validation, regardless of whether that person truly fits their usual ideal victim profile. This behavior is a clear and undeniable sign of their acute, insatiable need for supply and their frantic, last-ditch attempt to plug the gaping hole left by your departure and the comprehensive collapse of their previous, more substantial sources. However, these hastily formed new relationships are almost always superficial, unstable, and deeply unhealthy, directly reflecting their own agitated and chaotic internal state, and are highly unlikely to provide the sustained validation or deep emotional connection they so desperately, yet unconsciously, crave. Furthermore, their desperate scramble often involves increasingly erratic and profoundly self-destructive behaviors. When their usual manipulative tactics fail repeatedly and spectacularly, their underlying, unmanageable rage and profound shame can erupt in terrifyingly unpredictable ways. This might include violent public outbursts, wildly reckless decision-making that harms themselves or others, or even overt acts of aggression born purely of frustration and extreme powerlessness. These behaviors are not strategic or calculated. They are the uncontrolled, frantic thrashing of someone who is utterly cornered, panicking, and completely losing their grip on reality, further alienating anyone who might have once stood by them or offered a shred of support. Their self-destructive actions are a terrifying and inevitable consequence of their unaddressed internal torment and utter psychological unraveling. The most critical characteristic of this entire desperate scramble is its inherent futility and ineffectiveness, because their actions are exclusively rooted in profound panic, pervasive denial, and a complete, utter lack of genuine self-awareness or moral compass. They consistently choose strategies that perpetuate their problems rather than genuinely solving them. They cannot truly repent, cannot build genuine, reciprocal relationships, and cannot learn from their devastating mistakes. Their desperate, frantic attempts only dig them deeper into the monumental disaster they created, proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that there truly are no escape routes from the spiritual laws of consequence and divine justice. For you, observing the narcissist's desperate, futile scramble provides incredibly powerful confirmation of your absolute freedom and God's perfect, unfolding justice. It unequivocally underscores that their power over you is truly broken, permanently severed by divine intervention. You are no longer entangled in their frantic, pathetic attempts to control, punish, or manipulate. It also powerfully validates the truth of what you experienced. Their current chaotic, desperate state is a direct and unavoidable outcome of their inherently disordered character, not a result of anything you did or didn't do. This empowering understanding frees you completely from any lingering fear, guilt, or the insidious desire to intervene or fix them. It allows you to maintain your profound peace and focus entirely on your flourishing life, secure in the knowledge that their frantic efforts are ultimately futile against the impenetrable divine boundaries God has formed supernaturally around you. As the narcissist engages in their desperate, futile scramble, caught in the terrifying mirror of truth with no escape or relief, a magnificent and undeniable reality shines brightly in your life, your unshaken serenity. Amidst their deepening chaos, their profound panic, and their self-inflicted disaster, you are experiencing a profound peace and stability that they could never possibly comprehend or, more importantly, ever steal. This isn't a superficial calm that can be easily disturbed. It is a deep, abiding serenity rooted in God's unwavering presence, a powerful testament to His incredible restorative power and divine protection in your life. The Bible tells us that you keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on you because he trusts in you. Isaiah chapter 26 verse 3 offers this incredibly powerful and comforting promise. While the narcissist's mind is a perpetual storm of confusion, agonizing anxiety, uncontrollable rage, and overwhelming shame, your mind, by intentionally turning towards God and His immutable truth, finds an immovable anchor. This profound peace is not in any way dependent on external circumstances or the narcissist's ongoing destructive behavior. It is an internal sanctuary, a divine gift from God that remains utterly untouched and untroubled by the external turmoil they are so desperately creating. Think deeply about the arduous yet ultimately transformative journey you have walked. You were once inextricably entangled in their relentless chaos, your peace constantly disrupted by their insidious manipulations, their pervasive lies, and their utterly unpredictable outbursts. You might have felt perpetually on edge, consumed by anxiety and emotionally exhausted to your very core. But as you courageously established firm boundaries, deliberately disengaged from their toxic grip, and consciously anchored yourself in divine truth, you began the sacred process of reclaiming your peace, piece by precious piece. Now, even as their world tragically implodes around them, that profound peace remains firmly within you, a quiet, unyielding strength that radiates from your very being. This enduring serenity is a direct and undeniable result of choosing God's righteous way over their destructive chaos. One of the most evident and precious ways this unshaken serenity manifests in your life is through your profound emotional stability. While the narcissist experiences wild, erratic swings of uncontrollable rage, debilitating despair, and pervasive paranoia, your emotions are now steadier, more grounded, and profoundly resilient. You are no longer mindlessly reacting to their desperate provocations, no longer helplessly swept away by their turbulent emotional storms. You have learned to discern with absolute clarity truth from falsehood, to release what is fundamentally not yours to carry, and to trust implicitly in God's ultimate, sovereign control over all things. This newfound emotional equilibrium is an incredibly precious gift, empowering you to navigate life's challenges with unwavering wisdom and serene composure, rather than being constantly tossed by their relentless waves of drama and distress. God says, "The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness." Lamentations chapter 3 verse 22 and 23 beautifully reminds us of God's consistent, unchanging nature, which is the ultimate source of all true stability. Your unshaken serenity also actively enables crystal clear discernment and sound, godly judgment. The narcissist's world thrives exclusively on confusion, gaslighting, and the insidious blurring of lines, all meticulously designed to make you profoundly doubt your own perceptions and intuition. But as you wholeheartedly embrace this divine peace, your mind becomes exceptionally clear, unclouded by their deceptive tactics. You can now see their manipulative tactics for precisely what they are, recognize their true, self-serving motives with piercing clarity, and make decisions that are unclouded by debilitating fear or their insidious manipulation. This profound clarity is an incredibly powerful shield against any lingering attempts they might make to draw you back into their self-made chaos. You are no longer easily deceived because God's Holy Spirit actively guides you into all truth. John chapter 16 verse 13 promises, "When the Spirit of truth comes, He will guide you into all the truth." Furthermore, this profound peace allows you to maintain unbreakable, divinely established boundaries. The narcissist fundamentally seeks to violate boundaries, to control, and to utterly engulf others into their chaotic world. But when your peace is deeply rooted in God, your boundaries become unyieldingly firm, clear, and sacrosanct. You deliberately choose not to engage in their ongoing drama. You wisely do not respond to their frantic provocations, and you adamantly refuse to allow their pervasive chaos to infiltrate or contaminate your sacred personal space. This remarkable ability to stand firm, calmly, and without anger or emotional reactivity is a profound and powerful expression of your unshaken serenity, unequivocally demonstrating that their desperate attempts to penetrate your inner world are utterly futile and without effect. You are secure in your sacred, divinely protected space, permanently shielded by an abiding, divine peace. This profound peace is not a sign of indifference to suffering, either your own or, in this case, even theirs. Instead, it is a profound and absolute trust in God's perfect justice and His supreme sovereignty over all things. You are not celebrating their downfall with malicious glee, but you are resting deeply and securely in the comforting knowledge that God is actively bringing forth righteousness, and that you are eternally safe and protected in His mighty, loving hands. This liberating perspective allows you to observe their ongoing chaos with a spirit of peaceful detachment, knowing with certainty that their current predicament is an inevitable consequence of their own unrighteous choices, not something you need to fix, rescue them from, or be consumed by. This spiritual detachment is an absolutely crucial and invaluable component of your lasting, unshaken serenity. The narcissist, consumed by their own escalating internal torment and the unbearable, crushing weight of shame, cannot possibly fathom your profound peace. They may even be intensely enraged by it, perceiving your serene calm as a direct and defiant challenge to their non-existent authority, or even as a cruel sign of your indifference to their profound suffering. But your peace is not for them. It is a sacred, invaluable gift from God exclusively for you, a powerful testament to His infinite power to heal, restore, and ultimately set you free. Your consistently peaceful demeanor is a powerful, silent, yet profoundly impactful witness to the undeniable truth that God is indeed with you, actively sustaining you through every single storm you face. Embrace this unshaken serenity as your most precious and invaluable possession, a profound and eternal gift directly from the heart of God. It is the unshakable bedrock of your ongoing healing journey, the firm foundation of your beautiful new beginnings, and the indomitable strength that empowers you to walk forward with unwavering confidence and grace. While the narcissist's world spectacularly crumbles into utter chaos, your spirit remains serenely calm, eternally anchored in the loving and powerful presence of your Heavenly Father. Your peace is not just a personal blessing. It is a powerful, living statement of God's ultimate triumph over the chaos and destruction they so maliciously tried to inflict, unequivocally proving that His divine peace reigns supreme, even in the very midst of their terrifying, self-inflicted disaster. As your unshaken serenity stands firm amidst the narcissist's desperate, futile scramble and ongoing self-inflicted chaos, it is absolutely vital to recognize the active, powerful, and undeniable hand of God in your profound liberation. Divine separation's power. More than simply your own courageous efforts to establish boundaries, God has supernaturally intervened, creating an impenetrable and unbreakable separation between you and their destructive, toxic influence. This divine intervention is a magnificent testament to His boundless love, His perfect wisdom, and His unwavering commitment to your ultimate well-being, ensuring with absolute certainty that their unraveling cannot and will not pull you back into their torment or their self-made abyss. The Bible tells us that God is a mighty shield around His people, a powerful protector who actively sets unbreakable boundaries against the wicked and the destructive. Psalm chapter 5 verse 12 declares with powerful certainty, "For you bless the righteous, O Lord. You surround him with favor as with a shield." The narcissist, by their very nature, sought to utterly engulf you, to mercilessly merge your very identity with theirs, and to systematically break down every single boundary you ever tried to establish. But God, in His perfect timing, His infinite wisdom, and His supreme sovereign power, has meticulously erected an unbreachable wall, permanently protecting your spirit, your mind, and your life from their toxic, insidious reach. This is a profound, supernatural work that extends far beyond any human effort or capability. Think deeply about how the narcissist consistently operates. They thrive exclusively on violating boundaries, disregarding your limits, manipulating your emotions with cunning precision, and intrusively invading your sacred personal space, all with the singular aim of maintaining absolute control and mercilessly extracting narcissistic supply. You may have tried countless times, with sincere and exhausting effort, to establish healthy boundaries, only to find them relentlessly trampled upon with disdain. But now you are witnessing with undeniable clarity that their influence over you has been profoundly and irrevocably diminished. This profound shift is not solely due to your own admirable strength and resilience, but because God has actively, purposefully, and powerfully participated in creating this unbreakable, divine separation. One of the primary and most liberating ways divine separation's power is formed is through spiritual discernment. God has miraculously opened your spiritual eyes to see the narcissist's true, unvarnished nature, to recognize their insidious tactics with crystal clarity, and to understand their true, self-serving motivations with profound insight. This supernatural insight acts as an impenetrable spiritual boundary, allowing you to filter out their insidious lies with ease, to staunchly resist their manipulation, and to no longer be emotionally affected by their gaslighting. What was once confusing, disorienting, and utterly overwhelming is now clear, concise, and understandable. This newfound clarity creates an unyielding, protective barrier around your mind and spirit, safeguarding your perceptions and your peace. God says, "But the spiritual man discerns all things, yet he himself is not subject to a man's judgment." 1 Corinthians chapter 2 verse 15 profoundly highlights the transformative power of spiritual discernment. Furthermore, God has often meticulously orchestrated external circumstances to create undeniable physical or relational distance between you and the narcissist. This might have involved a profound change in your living situation, a new and unexpected job opportunity that took you far away, a significant shift in relationships with mutual acquaintances who finally saw the truth, or even the narcissist's own increasingly erratic and self-destructive actions that ultimately led to their complete and permanent removal from your life sphere. These circumstances, though sometimes initially painful or confusing in the moment, served as undeniable divine interventions, precisely creating the necessary space for you to heal deeply and for their destructive influence to irrevocably wane. It is as if God Himself was physically moving every single piece into perfect alignment to ensure your sacred separation and your absolute safety. The Bible tells us that God actively works all things for the ultimate good of those who genuinely love Him. Romans chapter 8 verse 28 reassuringly states, "And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to His purpose." The divine separation also profoundly manifests in your unyielding emotional resilience and liberating detachment. Where you once felt an overwhelming compulsion to react to their every subtle provocation or overt demand, you now find a profound, liberating calm. Their insidious words no longer pierce your heart with their venom. Their uncontrollable anger no longer ignites debilitating fear within you. This profound emotional detachment is a supernatural empowerment, divinely enabling you to observe their ongoing chaos without being emotionally drawn back into its destructive vortex. God has meticulously built an impenetrable fortress around your emotional well-being, rendering you effectively impervious to their relentless attacks and insidious attempts to upset you. This allows you to stand firm in your unshaken serenity, knowing with absolute certainty that their emotional storms and their desperate manipulations cannot and will not breach your divinely established boundaries. Moreover, God actively and powerfully protects your reputation and the truth about you against their malicious smear campaigns. The narcissist, in their desperation, often resorts to attempting to brutally destroy your credibility and turn others against you with cunning lies. But God, in His perfect and unfailing justice, can and will expose their falsehoods with divine precision and ultimately vindicate your integrity, causing their malicious lies to fall flat and their influence to dramatically diminish. This divine protection of your good name is an incredibly powerful boundary against their malicious and insidious attempts to harm you, absolutely ensuring that their destructive narratives do not and cannot define you in the eyes of others. God says, "No weapon that is fashioned against you shall succeed, and you shall confute every tongue that rises against you in judgment." Isaiah chapter 54 verse 17 provides this incredibly powerful and comforting promise, affirming your ultimate vindication. This powerful formation of divine separation and its associated boundaries means that you no longer need to live in debilitating fear of their presence, their desperate hoovering attempts, or their continued ability to pull you back into their torment. God has drawn an unbreachable line. Their insidious power over you has been definitively broken, not merely by your admirable strength, but primarily by His omnipotent, loving hand. This profound realization brings an immense and unparalleled liberation, allowing you to walk in complete freedom from fear, knowing with absolute certainty that you are divinely protected. For the narcissist, these divinely erected boundaries are utterly frustrating, deeply terrifying, and intensely enraging. They are utterly accustomed to effortlessly breaking down the limits of others and disregarding all boundaries with impunity. Now, they find themselves irrevocably blocked, unable to access their former sources of supply or exert their usual, suffocating control over you. This impenetrable wall, this profound divine separation, amplifies their panic, intensifies their rage, and deepens their despair, as they are forced to agonizingly realize that their power over you is permanently severed by an unyielding, supernatural force they can neither comprehend nor overcome. Embrace the profound reality of this divine separation's power, knowing with absolute certainty that these boundaries are a clear, undeniable sign of God's active, personal love and His unwavering, meticulous protection in your life. Rest securely and completely in the blessed assurance that you are supernaturally and permanently separated from their destructive, toxic influence. This liberating truth empowers you to move forward with unshakable confidence, to continue your profound healing journey, and to flourish abundantly in your beautiful new beginnings, secure in the absolute knowledge that God Himself is your impenetrable shield, making it utterly impossible for the narcissist's self-inflicted disaster to ever truly touch or harm you again. As divine separation's power irrevocably seals you off from the narcissist's collapsing world, a profound and undeniable truth becomes glaringly evident, the contrast revealed. You are now able to clearly and powerfully witness the stark, almost breathtaking difference between their escalating, self-inflicted suffering and your profound, divinely orchestrated flourishing. This isn't a coincidence or a mere turn of luck. It is a vivid, living illustration of spiritual laws in action, a tangible manifestation of the divergent paths chosen, one leading to ruin, the other to abundant life. The Bible tells us with unwavering clarity that the way of the wicked is like deep darkness. They do not know over what they stumble. Proverbs chapter 4 verse 19 vividly describes the path of those who choose unrighteousness. Conversely, Psalm chapter 1 verse 3 says, "Of the righteous, he is like a tree planted by streams of water that yields its fruit in its season, and its leaf does not wither. In all that he does, he prospers." This stark scriptural contrast is now visibly playing out in your lives. The narcissist, consumed by their own darkness, stumbles in deepening chaos, while you, aligned with truth and light, are flourishing. Like a well-nourished tree, a living testament to God's restorative power, consider first the narcissist side of this stark contrast, their deepening suffering. Their health is in bitter decline. Their luck has utterly deserted them. They are crushed under the weight of inescapable consequences, and their internal inferno rages with increasing intensity. They are experiencing isolation's cold embrace. Their carefully constructed facade has shattered, and they have absolutely no escape or relief from the horrifying mirror of truth. Every aspect of their existence is characterized by loss, pain, and profound distress. Their relationships are barren, their reputation is ruined, their mind is tormented by paranoia and rage, and their body may be betraying them. This comprehensive suffering is not random. It is the natural, inevitable outcome of a life built on lies, exploitation, and a complete rejection of genuine love, humility, and accountability. It is a terrifying manifestation of spiritual bankruptcy, where their choices have led them to a self-made hell. God says, "The Lord will repay him for his evil, and he will cause his repayment to fall on his own head." 1 Samuel chapter 25 verse 39 assures that evil actions return to the perpetrator. Now, juxtapose this with the radiant reality of your flourishing. You possess an unshaken serenity that remains untouched by their chaos. You walk in clarity, discernment, and sound judgment, unburdened by confusion or self-doubt. You maintain unbreakable, divinely established boundaries that protect your peace. Your emotional stability is a rock, your mind is clear, and your spirit is vibrant. You are cultivating genuine, reciprocal relationships rooted in love and respect, bringing you true joy and connection. Your life is filled with purpose, authenticity, and a profound sense of liberation. You are growing, learning, and stepping into the fullness of who you were always meant to be, unhindered by their toxic influence. This blossoming is a direct result of your courageous choice to align with truth, to embrace your healing journey, and to trust in God's unfailing love and restorative power. The Bible reveals that the path of the righteous is like the light of dawn, which shines brighter and brighter until full day. Proverbs chapter 4 verse 18 vividly illustrates your radiant progression. The contrast is particularly striking when you consider the source of each state. The narcissist's suffering stems entirely from their internal void, their relentless pride, their refusal to acknowledge truth, and their continuous choice of self-worship over love. Their pain is self-inflicted, a harvest of their own spiritual rebellion. You, however, are flourishing because you have chosen humility, embraced truth, sought healing, and anchored yourself in a relationship with God. Your peace and growth are divinely sourced, a gift from a loving Creator who redeems all things and brings beauty from ashes. This revealed contrast serves several crucial purposes for your continued healing and understanding. Firstly, it provides undeniable validation. For too long, you might have been gaslighted into believing their chaos was somehow your fault, or that your efforts to find peace were futile against their power. Now, the visible difference between your lives screams the truth. Their suffering is their own, and your flourishing is your well-earned reward for choosing a different path. It confirms that you are not imagining their downfall, nor are you fabricating your own growth. This is objective reality unfolding. Secondly, it offers profound reassurance. The fear that you might be pulled back into their vortex, or that their collapse might somehow contaminate your peace, dissipates in the face of this stark contrast. The divine boundaries are evident. Their darkness cannot touch your light. Your flourishing is a clear sign that you are on the right path, protected and guided. This reassurance allows you to deepen your peace, knowing that your future is secure, regardless of their ongoing unraveling. Thirdly, it cultivates gratitude. Witnessing their desperate state against the backdrop of your own blessings naturally leads to a profound sense of thankfulness for your liberation, for your peace, and for God's unwavering faithfulness. It reinforces the preciousness of your freedom and strengthens your commitment to nurturing your spiritual and emotional well-being. This gratitude is not schadenfreude. It is a humble recognition of grace and redemption. Finally, this contrast serves as a powerful spiritual lesson. It vividly demonstrates the immutable laws of sowing and reaping, of truth prevailing over falsehood, and of the ultimate outcome of choosing light versus darkness. It reinforces the wisdom of aligning your life with divine principles, proving that true prosperity and peace are found not in outward appearances or manipulative control, but in integrity, humility, and genuine connection with God. The Bible tells us that he who walks blamelessly will be delivered, but he who is crooked in his ways will fall into a pit. Proverbs chapter 28, verse 18 clearly illustrates these two divergent paths and their outcomes. For the narcissist, this revealed contrast is another agonizing reflection in the mirror of truth. They see your peace, your freedom, and your growing joy, and it infuriates them. It confirms their loss, their failure, and their profound isolation. They cannot comprehend how you could be flourishing while they are suffering, because they lack the spiritual discernment to understand the consequences of their own unrighteousness. This stark comparison only amplifies their envy, their bitterness, and their desperate scramble as they rage against the undeniable evidence of your liberation and their own inevitable doom. For you, the contrast revealed is a constant, tangible reminder of your victorious journey. It empowers you to live boldly in your truth, to cherish your peace, and to continue building a life of authentic joy and purpose, unburdened by their shadow. While their path leads downward into deeper darkness, your path leads upward into ever-increasing light, a brilliant testament to the transformative power of divine truth and the unwavering love of God. This profound differentiation is not merely an observation. It is a sacred confirmation of your new, liberated reality. As the stark contrast between your flourishing and the narcissist's deepening suffering becomes undeniably clear, a powerful and unwavering truth continues to unfold with divine precision: justice's inevitable hand. This is the magnificent reality of God's righteous judgment actively bringing forth inescapable and comprehensive consequences upon those who have consistently chosen deceit, manipulation, and self-worship over truth, love, and integrity. This is not a human wish for revenge, nor is it a mere personal desire for retribution. It is the sovereign, relentless work of a perfectly just God, a divine process that cannot be thwarted, slowed, or escaped. The Bible tells us unequivocally that righteousness and justice are the foundation of your throne. Steadfast love and faithfulness go before you. Psalm chapter 89 verse 14 profoundly reveals God's very nature as one rooted in absolute justice. He is not indifferent to the suffering of the innocent, the systematic oppression caused by the wicked, or the pervasive pain inflicted by those who live in opposition to His truth. While human justice systems may often be slow, inherently flawed, or sometimes tragically absent, divine justice is perfect, relentless, all-encompassing, and always reaches its ultimate, undeniable conclusion. What you are witnessing in the narcissist's comprehensive collapse is the active, undeniable manifestation of this unstoppable, inevitable justice. Consider how this divine justice relentlessly unfolds. It often begins subtly, with the gradual, yet profound erosion of their reputation and influence. For years, the narcissist may have enjoyed unearned admiration, undeserved authority, and widespread, superficial respect. But as truth's relentless pursuit closes in around them, and their foundational lies are systematically exposed, the favor they once commanded begins to dramatically diminish, often turning into widespread disdain. People who once naively believed them now see their true, ugly colors with startling clarity. Opportunities they once effortlessly secured now become scarce and increasingly elusive. Their once powerful charm turns to ash in their mouth. This gradual yet consistent loss of standing, this irreversible decay of their public image, is a powerful form of justice, as the false, carefully constructed image they presented is systematically dismantled, forcing them to painfully confront their true, diminished stature in the eyes of the world. God says, "The name of the wicked will rot." Proverbs chapter 10 verse 7 powerfully promises this natural and inevitable decay of a reputation built purely on unrighteousness and deceit. Furthermore, justice is inevitably unfolding through the implosion of their relationships. The narcissist has systematically and mercilessly alienated everyone who genuinely cared for them, treating them as mere objects for supply and discarding them without a second thought when their utility waned. When these transactional relationships inevitably break due to their toxic, unrepentant patterns, they are left increasingly, tragically isolated. This profound relational barrenness, this agonizing loneliness, is a direct, agonizing consequence of their transactional, utilitarian view of human beings. The very people they callously exploited and ruthlessly discarded are no longer available to serve their desperate needs, leaving them utterly devoid of the genuine support, comfort, or assistance they now desperately crave in their moments of crisis. Proverbs chapter 18 verse 24 warns, "A man of many companions may come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother." The narcissist's companions inevitably abandon them in ruin, leaving them alone to face the consequences. The internal torment they relentlessly experience, as previously detailed, is also a profoundly significant and inescapable part of this unfolding justice. Their escalating anxiety, their pervasive paranoia, their uncontrollable rage, and the crushing, unbearable weight of shame are not random external punishments, but agonizing internal consequences that flow directly from their own unrighteous choices. They are inexorably trapped in a self-made psychological prison of their own tormented minds, perpetually tortured by the very lies and insidious manipulations they so freely used against others. This profound internal suffering is particularly poignant and agonizing because it is utterly inescapable, following them wherever they desperately try to go, relentlessly revealing the terrifying depth of their spiritual barrenness and moral emptiness within. God says, "There is no peace, says my God, for the wicked." Isaiah chapter 57 verse 21 leaves absolutely no doubt about the ultimate, tormented internal state of those who persistently reject righteousness, truth, and genuine repentance. Justice is also served with unwavering precision through the resounding failure of their cunning schemes and their desperate, futile scramble. The narcissist fundamentally believed they were above consequences, effortlessly able to manipulate any situation to their advantage, and always capable of escaping accountability. But now, their most cunning plans spectacularly fail. They're desperate. Hoovering attempts are consistently rejected, and their malicious smear campaigns invariably backfire, further exposing their vindictive nature. This repeated and undeniable failure of their manipulative efforts is an incredibly powerful form of justice, unequivocally demonstrating that their insidious tactics no longer work, and their deceptive power has been definitively broken. It highlights the absolute futility of fighting against divine truth, against righteous principles, and against the immutable spiritual laws that govern the universe. Their strategies, once effective, now only accelerate their own demise. This justice is comprehensively delivered because it addresses not just their outward, harmful actions, but also the very core of their being, their hardened heart, their twisted mind, and their barren spirit. It is an inevitable process because it flows directly from the unchanging, perfect character of a righteous God who never sleeps and never fails to see every hidden thing. It is unstoppable because no human scheme, no desperate attempt to evade, and no amount of denial can possibly halt its divine progression. What you are witnessing is a profound divine reckoning, a spiritual law in relentless action, bringing perfect balance and precise consequence to a life lived in direct opposition to truth, integrity, and genuine love. For you observing this, justice's inevitable hand unfolding, unstoppable in its precision, provides immense validation, profound reassurance, and ultimate vindication. It unequivocally confirms that you are not responsible for their suffering. They are undeniably reaping precisely what they have sown throughout their lives. It completely frees you from the heavy burden of ever feeling like you needed to get even, or to painstakingly prove your case to the world. God is actively handling it with perfect precision and ultimate authority. Knowing with absolute certainty that justice is being served allows you to fully release any lingering bitterness, to extend forgiveness from a powerful, liberated place of strength, and to focus entirely on your own profound healing, spiritual growth, and the beautiful building of your future. You can now rest securely and completely in the knowledge that you are protected by a perfectly just God who sees all, knows all, and will ultimately make all things perfectly right in His divine, sovereign plan. Your peace is now profoundly secured. Your divine boundaries are unyieldingly firm, and your life is gloriously flourishing, all while God's unwavering, comprehensive justice continues its relentless work. This ultimate divine reckoning is a terrifying and agonizing sign for the narcissist, as it signifies the absolute and undeniable end of their reign of deception and control. But for you, it is a glorious affirmation of God's infinite power, His boundless love, and His perfect, unstoppable justice that always prevails. As justice's inevitable hand brings forth undeniable consequences upon the narcissist, and the stark contrast between their suffering and your flourishing becomes a living testament to divine truth, your journey culminates in the most profound and beautiful reality of all, your enduring freedom. This is the ultimate triumph, not merely an escape from their insidious influence, but a profound, lasting liberation that fundamentally reshapes your life with unparalleled peace, deep joy, and unwavering purpose. You have not simply survived the ordeal. You have courageously conquered, emerging from the crucible of abuse, stronger, wiser, and more intimately connected with divine truth and divine love than ever before imaginable. The Bible tells us with liberating clarity that if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. John chapter 8 verse 36 declares this incredibly powerful and transformative truth. The freedom you now experience is not a temporary reprieve or a fleeting moment of peace. It is a divinely granted, comprehensive, and eternal liberation from the chains of insidious manipulation, debilitating fear, and emotional bondage that once held you captive in their toxic web. It is an undeniable testament to God's boundless power to rescue, to completely restore, and ultimately to elevate those who courageously trust in Him, miraculously transforming your past pain into an incredibly powerful platform for your glorious future and His divine purposes. Think deeply about the various magnificent facets of this enduring freedom. First and foremost, it is an absolute freedom from their influence and suffocating control. The narcissist's entire destructive objective was to relentlessly control you, your precious thoughts, your deepest emotions, your critical decisions, and even your very perception of reality itself. But now, their insidious power over you is completely and irrevocably broken. Their words no longer hold any sway, their cunning manipulations are transparently obvious, and their desperate attempts to provoke a reaction from you are met only with an unshakable, profound calm. You are no longer their unwilling puppet, enslaved to their whims. You are an independent, sovereign individual, guided exclusively by divine wisdom and the refreshing renewal of your own spirit. This profound and absolute liberation of your will is truly a victorious, lasting freedom. Secondly, you experience a liberating freedom from fear. The narcissist thrived on instilling pervasive apprehension within you, debilitating fear of their uncontrollable rage, agonizing fear of abandonment, terrifying fear of their malicious smear campaigns, or paralyzing fear of societal judgment. But as you have courageously anchored yourself in God's unwavering protection and His perfect, boundless love, that debilitating fear has dissipated entirely. You now walk with a boldness and an unshakable confidence that stems not from arrogance, but from a deep-seated, unwavering trust that God is your impenetrable shield and your ultimate deliverer. This profound absence of debilitating fear allows you to live authentically, to courageously pursue your deepest passions and to wholeheartedly engage with the world from a powerful place of strength and conviction rather than timid trepidation. 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 7 assures us, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and a sound mind." This enduring freedom also magnificently manifests as an unhindered freedom to thrive and to profoundly flourish. The narcissist's pervasive presence was a constant, draining siphon on your energy, your inherent creativity, and your vast potential. Their toxic environment relentlessly stifled your growth and development. But now, profoundly liberated from their destructive, suffocating influence, your true, authentic self is blossoming with vibrant life. Your precious relationships are now profoundly healthier, your sense of divine purpose is crystal clear, and your inherent capacity for pure joy is exponentially expanded. You are now able to wisely invest your invaluable energy into constructive, life-giving endeavors, nurture genuine, reciprocal connections, and courageously walk in perfect alignment with God's magnificent design for your unique life. This comprehensive flourishing, especially against the backdrop of their devastating collapse, is a powerful, living, and undeniable visual testimony to your ultimate triumph. The Bible says, "The righteous flourish like the palm tree and grow like a cedar in Lebanon." Psalm chapter 92 verse 12 beautifully speaks of this deep, verdant growth and ultimate prosperity. Furthermore, your freedom is enduring and victorious, because it is built upon unshakable truth and precise discernment. You no longer question your own precious perceptions or doubt your inherent intuition, which was once relentlessly attacked. The profound clarity God has graciously given you now allows you to see through every layer of their deception, to understand human nature with greater, more profound wisdom, and to make choices that always serve your highest good and honor God's perfect will. This sharp, precise discernment protects your future relationships with unwavering certainty and absolutely ensures that you will not easily fall prey to similar, destructive patterns of manipulation ever again. It is a profound wisdom gained through fire, an incredibly powerful and invaluable tool for your continued glorious journey. John chapter 8 verse 32 states, "And you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." Finally, your ultimate, enduring triumph is deeply and permanently rooted in your magnified and deepened intimacy with God. The arduous yet profoundly transformative journey through immense pain and ultimate liberation has brought you closer to your loving Creator than you could have ever imagined possible. You have experienced His unwavering faithfulness firsthand, His impenetrable protection in the fiercest storms, and His incredible restorative power actively working in every facet of your life. This profound, authentic, and intimate relationship with God is the crowning jewel of your enduring freedom, an unbreakable bond that nothing can ever sever, and a boundless source of unending strength. It is the very wellspring of all your peace, all your joy, and all your unwavering strength, and it guarantees your lasting, eternal victory. Embrace this sacred moment of ultimate vindication and your glorious enduring freedom. You are no longer defined by what tragically happened to you in the past, but by how God miraculously delivered you and profoundly transformed you through it. Your beautiful life is now a powerful, living testament to His perfect justice, His boundless mercy, and His unfailing, eternal love. Walk forward with unshakable confidence and profound gratitude, knowing with absolute certainty that the chains of bondage are broken forever. The insidious lies are now completely exposed, and you are truly, enduringly free to live authentically, free to love unconditionally, and free to wholeheartedly fulfill every magnificent purpose God has meticulously designed for you. This is your profound, permanent, and everlasting triumph. As the echoes of these profound truths gently settle, allow your heart to quiet completely. The extraordinary journey you have courageously walked through these powerful revelations has been a transformative one, perhaps stirring up lingering echoes of past pains, but ultimately, it has undeniably opened a majestic door to deeper understanding, greater clarity, and absolute freedom. Take a deep breath now and simply rest securely in the gentle, unwavering assurance of God's constant and loving presence. There is a profound peace that transcends all human understanding, a comforting presence that no earthly pain can ultimately diminish, and an encompassing love that tenderly wraps around every single broken place within your heart. You are seen. You are cherished. You are profoundly and eternally loved by a God who knows every single tear you have shed, every single injustice you have bravely faced, and every single courageous step you have taken towards profound healing. His grace is not a distant, abstract concept. It is a living, breathing, vibrant reality that actively sustains you, powerfully empowers you, and gently guides you forward on your divine path. Release any lingering burdens, any remaining fears, any final attachments into His perfectly capable hands. Trust implicitly that He is perfectly perfecting all that truly concerns you. He is actively working in powerful ways you cannot yet fully perceive, meticulously orchestrating perfect justice, bringing forth absolute truth, and cultivating a profound resilience within your spirit that will shine ever brighter than before. As you rest tonight, or as you go about your day, let the deep peace of His sacred presence settle profoundly over you, knowing with absolute certainty that His boundless love is your ultimate, impenetrable shield, and His eternal truth, your unwavering, faithful compass. All is well, for you are held securely and eternally in His unfailing love.